Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. Thanks for joining me. In our practice today, we're going to do a lot of sitting and some lying down because we're going to be opening up our hips. We're doing one of my favorite poses for hip openers, and it's called Bound Angle Pose. In Sanskrit, it's Baddha Konasana, and commonly we might call it Cobbler's Pose, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Let's just start with some breathing. Let's take some deep breaths just to help settle into the space, finding your comfortable seat. You can sit on your mat. I'm sitting on a blanket. You can also sit on a pillow. Just something soft, something comfortable. I'm sitting in half lotus. You don't have to sit in half lotus. This is just comfortable for me. You can sit in any style that works for you. And if you need to, even sit up against a wall if you need a little extra support for your back. Slow, deep breaths, mindful, intentional breathing, just to tune in. Feel free to close your eyes completely or just soften your eyes. You might just be gazing downward. Feeling the body and the mind ease. Let's just bring a little bit more energy to the breath. On your next inhale, just feel the breath rising upward to fill your lungs. On the exhale, as you're able, draw your belly button in towards your spine. This is the abdominal lock, just a light contraction of your abdominal muscles, just to feel that sense of strength and support here in your center body. Do that again, a nice full breath in. Exhale, pull belly in. And do that a few more times. Good. And just hold in stillness for a moment. And slowly make a transition to your hands and knees. And feel free to use some extra padding here. I'm just using my blanket, just opening it up so I can place my knees at one end and my hands at the other end. Just moving through cat and cow just to open up the back and the hips. So first, inhale and just tip the chin up. Feel like your heart is moving forward, arching the back for a back bend, pelvis tips back. With the exhale, start with the back end if you can. Tuck the pelvis under. Feel the back round, belly button pulls up towards spine, chin to chest. And just fluidly move through these two postures. Inhale into cow. There's our back bend. Exhale, round it out. Cat pose. Just a few more like this. And since we'll be doing some hip openers, we'll do a little extra movement while we're here on our knees. Finish this breath. Come to a complete stillness, holding this tabletop posture. I'm just going to turn this way just so you can just see what's happening here. I'm just going to bring my knees a little closer together, take my hands a little farther apart so I can just lean to my left, to your right, just so I can get into that outer hip a little bit. I like to move forward and back for a gentle massage, and then the other side. This feels good for me because I tend to have tight hips, but you can do any kind of movement that might feel good. Here's another one. I'll take the knees a little wider and just making some big circles with the hips. Back or out to the side, back, side, and forward. And a few times in both directions. We'll come back to stillness and make a transition. I'm just going to move the blanket out of the way. Let's move into downward facing dog. So from our hands and knees, step the hands forward, spreading out your fingers, getting a nice stretch between each finger. Lean into your palms, flat hands, just to stretch the hands. And as you're pushing into the ground, feel the strong, straight line you've created with your arms. Tuck your toes, even press back a little bit just to stretch the toes a bit, and forward. One more cat-cow. So it's inhale, cow, that's first. Exhale, round it into cat. Hold cat. Tuck toes, lift knees. Push hands into the floor, send the hips into the air. We'll be in downward facing dog. Let's just do a nice warrior one series. Let's inhale, extend right leg up, reach. Exhale, let's step right foot to the top of the mat. We'll turn left heel to the floor, being sure you're putting weight into that back foot so there is balance between both feet. And we'll inhale and rise up, reach into the air. Good reach, good lunge. And just for a couple of breaths, just bring the arms down to your side. So you can just pay attention to the hip flexor, part of the hip functioning here. We did a rocking of the pelvis in our cat-cow, just some gentle movements while on hands and knees, maybe getting into the outer hips. This is getting into the front side. As we get into our bound angle pose, it'll be more in the inner leg or inner hip area. Let's inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, we'll fold, bring hands back down to the floor. Slide right foot back, plank pose. Hold for a moment. We'll take a shortcut to down dog. Bend the knees slightly, send your hips into the air. Keeping the knees bent will allow your hips to lift a little higher, straightening the spine, and maintain a good pressure into the earth with the hands. Let's do the other side. Inhale, extend left leg straight up. Exhale, left foot to the top of the mat. Right heel to the floor. Firm connection to the floor with that back foot, establishing balance. Easily floating up into warrior one. Good reach. Good lunge. Same thing, we'll just rest the arms and shoulders for a moment just to enjoy the sensations in the legs. Just checking in with alignment, left knee and toes are pointing forward. Also building some good strength in the left thigh. And of course, we're getting that lengthening stretch quality in the hip flexor on the right side, as well as the thigh. Let's inhale, reach all the way up. And exhale, we'll fold. Hands back down. Step back, plank pose. Pause for a moment for realignment. And our same shortcut to downward facing dog. All right, let's come down to our first seated position, bound angle pose. Now, I like to sit on a blanket just for a little extra support. Now, so for bound angle, place the soles of the feet together here. Now, depending on how well your knees bend, you can draw the heels all the way in or slightly out or farther out. Again, just depending on how this feels in your knee joints. And for a moment, just kind of rock left and right, just getting into the hips a little bit, and then just settle in. Just going to hold on to the ankles or shins, or if you're able to reach your feet. But if you're folding forward to grab the feet, go ahead and slide the hands back until you're sitting up nice and tall. And this is bound angle pose. And just the breakdown of the name of that posture, bound angle. So bound is because we're holding on. We're just holding on to the legs here with the hands. Angle, simply because we've got angled legs. That's it. Let's hold here for a moment, sitting up nice and tall. Maybe even rolling shoulders back, squeezing shoulder blades together, and engaging the abdominal lock. Now, to add a bit more sensation, if you'd like, you might hinge forward just a little bit. And by leaning forward, then you might be able to just scoop up the toes like this. Now, another name for this is cobbler's pose, cobbler. So, a shoemaker is called a cobbler. So, if you pull up pictures of an Indian shoemaker, this is what you'll see. You'll see probably a gentleman sitting on the ground, very much like this pose. Knees bent, feet together, with his working station right in front of him, and he's working on his shoes. And so, Indian cobbler or an Indian shoemaker. So that's where we get the name cobbler's pose. Three more breaths here. And feel free to go a little deeper, but you can certainly lower the chin and round your back. Here you might feel a nice stretch in your back. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see this. So I went from more of an extended spine more to a rounded back body like this. And with the rounded back, there's that stretch in the back, but also deepens the stretch in the inner legs. Also kind of gets into the groins here, mainly because the knees are bent and falling out towards the ground while gravity is drawing them down towards the ground. Now, if the back is rounded, that's fine, but to come back up safely, I like to lift the chin, looking out in front here. That will help that re-extension of the spine. And then go ahead and hinge your way back up until you're nice and tall, returning to the original bound angle pose, or Baddha Konasana. Baddha means bind or bound. Kona, angled. Asana pose. Alrighty, now we're going to do two other variations of this posture. So this is the seated upright version. Now we're going to do the lying down version. So I'm going to come off of my blanket. Now you're welcome to continue using the blanket if you need some maybe padding for your head. You can just go ahead and roll down onto your back and draw the knees in. Even add some movement here. I really enjoy doing this. When I come down onto my back, I'm just holding onto the knees or shins and just simply rocking left and right. And then I draw a figure 8 in the air with my knees, which is a nice release for my back and hips. All right, now we're doing Supta Baddha Konasana. Supta just meaning supine or reclining. So I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together, holding onto the feet or ankles. Now with a little effort, I'm sending the heels down towards the pelvis, not really forcing that, just until it just naturally stops. And same thing with the knees and legs. I'm pushing them forward. And there's my Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclining bound angle pose. So it's familiar to the body. It's very similar in nature as the seated variation. We just happen to be lying down. And when you're holding these poses, which are very beneficial, you might take 10, 15, maybe even 20 breaths. Just want to take your time. In a moment, we'll do another version of Supta Baddha Konasana. This is more of the classic version, but there's a nice relaxing version of this too. So maybe take 3 more breaths. And then we're just going to release the feet and just bring them to the floor. The feet are still touching. We just release them so your hands are now free. You can just bring them out to the side. And the legs will come down. Now gravity takes over and just pulls them down. So it gets a nice pull, a nice stretch sensation in the inner legs. And you might hold here for several breaths. So these are wonderful hip openers, very accessible. Do them seated, do them lying down, very relaxing. And I often incorporate them in my regular yoga practices, but as you can see, you can do just these poses as your full yoga practice. Wonderful pose just for opening tight hips. Maybe you're a runner or do some other athletics where you use your legs. And so you want to stretch and release and relax. And so here's a great posture for you. So since we're in this pose, let's just go ahead and add a twist. Sometimes we might call this pose open book, with the knees open as they are. It's like having a book that's open up. So we're going to close the book. I'm going to take my right knee, bring it up and over, closing the book to the left leg, but take the right arm across the body, across to the right side of the room like this. And I like to place this left hand on top of the right knee or thigh, just to add a little pressure. I'm not really pushing down. I'm just resting the hand here, which adds just enough weight, and taking some deep breaths. So for me, this really provides a nice stretch in the low back, but it might even help that outer hip. You can even take this right arm behind you and reach just for an added stretch. All right, 2 more breaths. I'm going to soften the body. Let's reopen the book. So I'm bringing my right knee up and out to the side. Brief pause, returning to the reclining bound angle pose. And then I'm going to take the left knee now and close it to the other side, while left arm now goes to the left side of the room. Right hand resting on top of this left knee or thigh, just the weight of the hand, just reaching with the left hand across the room or even behind you for an added stretch and pull down through kind of this left portion of the back body into the hip, into the low back. And 2 more breaths. I'm going to start to soften the body just a little bit. Let's reopen the book. So the left knee comes up, open here. There's our reclining cobblers pose. I'm going to close the book again, right knee to left knee, but turn the whole body so I can rise up and come back to seated. Now feel free to cross the legs. You that half lotus if you were sitting in half lotus. Even feel free to come back to the original bound angle pose. Sitting up nice and tall here. A couple more breaths. And finishing with one last movement. We'll inhale, reach all the way out and up with the arms. Exhale, hands together down to your heart. Take one more breath here. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste.
Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.